Women's Africa Cup of Nations, Morocco.
Feel the pulse of a continent, where Africa's fiercest women warriors clash for glory in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations 2024. Africa's top teams, one crown. Morocco hosts once more, ready to etch new legends into history. Rising stars, one stage to shine.
And it is the Copper Queens. They have been waiting for this moment.
Here's a chance for a second. South Africa lead by 2 goals to 0 in this final, and he'll never higher.
This is more than football, it's African excellence. It's women's power. Don't miss WAFCON 2024, live from Morocco.
Therapy plays a crucial role, especially to persons with disabilities, and ranges from physical, speech, occupational, behavioral, and psychological.
This abuse comes in so many forms. May it be physical abuse, even economical abuse, because you'll find that someone offers them a job, and simply because they know that this person has challenges, maybe intellectual challenges, you find that they are being underpaid.
Differently able.
And a very good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us. This is Easy Friday. My name is John Kago. On this day, the 4th of July 2025. In America, they call it the Independence Day. Got the independence back in the year 1776. Some of the news that we're covering for you tonight. Is there a church being built at State House? Your guess is good as mine. No more guessing. There we go. A church is being built, but President Ruto says it's at his own personal cost. Details of this and other stories are coming up. But first things first, the aerial view of Easy Friday tonight. These are the highlights.
Hapa State House nilikuja nikakuta kanisa ya mabati. Kanisa ya mabati inatoshana na State House, hata kwa maoni yenu. So, nasijengi na pesa ya serikali, mimi najenga na pesa yangu.
Right, President Ruto confirms plans to construct an ultra-modern church at State House. It clarifies the multi-million project is not funded by the taxpayer. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Emotions run high. Our slain blogger Ojwang is laid to rest in Homa Bay. Opposition charm offensive. The former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and a host of opposition leaders continue with their tour of the Western region. The real picture. Health unions cry foul over overwhelming number of injured protesters during Gen Z demos. They call for a national dialogue.
Hi cousins,
Hi cousins. Hi makuzo.
Anafika anasema hi. Mulisikia nyenga ati hi cousin. Ukifika Ukambani hi cousin.
The Hi Cousin slogan and the drama therein. That's on the Savage Netizens tonight. All right, many thanks indeed for choosing us tonight. This is Easy Friday, writing solo. That sign language interpreter tonight is Lucy Mwaura. Let's do this. Now, President William Ruto says no public money is being used to build a church at State House, Nairobi. The president says he found a dilapidated church at the house on the hill and has decided to use his personal funds to construct an ultra-modern sanctuary for God. Speaking at State House when he met leaders from Embu County, the head of state said he would never shy away from participating in the construction of a place of worship. That story begins our coverage tonight.
After claims that President William Ruto is planning to build a church in State House, Nairobi, worth more than 1 billion shillings, the president confirmed that the church was indeed coming up.
Mimi ni mtu naamini Mungu. Na I have no apologies to make. Kwa kujenga kanisa, I have no apology. Mnanielewa? Na hakuna mtu nitaomba msamaha. Kwa kujenga kanisa, tutajenga kanisa ya Mungu. Shetani akasirike, afanye ile anataka. Nyinyi mnanielewa? Naambiwa hata kwa magazeti leo ati kuna mtu anasema ati mimi najenga kanisa hapa State House. Ni kweli, mimi najenga kanisa hapa State House.
The president, however, denied that public funds would be used in erecting the ultra-modern church.
Nilikuta, mimi sijaanzisha kanisa State House, nilikuta kanisa ikiweko. Shida tu ilikuwa ya mabati. Sasa nimeamua nijenge kanisa inatoshana na State House. Na haitagharimu serikali ya Kenya peni moja. Nitajenga na pesa zangu kwa sababu kanisa ya Mungu ni mahali ambapo panatoshana na heshima.
This even as he announced plans by government to enhance the growing and selling of muguka to benefit farmers in Embu County. The president affirming the legal and state protection of a stimulant.
We have not seen the kind of work and projects that have happened in Embu in the last 3 years happen before all at once. This is the first time. Took on the county aggregation and industrial park, ambayo kwa sasa is at about 90% complete. In fact, Embu County is number 2.
The president also announced that the government would build an additional 3 modern fresh produce markets in addition to the 9 that are currently under construction across the county.
Runyenjes market imeanza. Si namna hiyo? Isiara market inaendelea. Karurumo iko market. Mbuvori iko market. Makutano iko market. Tumetangaza market ya Kangaru na tumetangaza market ya Mutuovare na Kiriari.
Emphasizing on the government's commitment to improving dairy farming, Ruto promised to intervene to stem falling milk prices in sections of Mount Kenya and ensure that a litre remains at 50 shillings. John Jacob Curia, Easy Friday.
All right, now slain blogger and teacher Albert Ojwang has been laid to rest. Ojwang was laid to rest at his father's home in Kokonyo village in Homa Bay County. His funeral was attended by a multitude of people who converged at his home to pay the late teacher his final rites. Political leaders led by ODM National Chairperson Gladys Wanga said they will not rest until those culpable are held to account. Ojwang died from what an autopsy revealed was a blunt force trauma and neck compression while in police custody. Timothy Kipnusu has that report.
Weeks after the death of blogger and teacher Albert Omondi Ojwang in police custody, In a case that has drawn national condemnation and outcry over rising cases of abduction and extrajudicial killings. Family, friends, politicians and Kenyans in general converge in Kakwanyo village in Homa Bay County to pay the slain teacher Albert Ojwang his last respects. The emotionally charged crowd renewing calls for accountability for the late teacher and digital activists and all other Kenyans who have died in the hands of police.
These Gen Zs have worked faithfully on a cause for this country, but they will not allow you to hijack that cause for your own selfish interests.
During the burial, ODM leaders stood in solidarity with the grieving family. Led by ODM chairperson Gladys Wanga, the leaders vowed to push the case through the court system, promising to ensure it is expedited.
The police must operate within the law and within the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. And we will be following this death of Albert closely. Those police who have been charged in court, we will follow up to see that they are actually charged with murder and they are convicted to hang.
Wanga further urged Kenyans to remain united and peaceful even amid difficult national challenges. The leaders urged police in the country to exercise restraint when dealing with civilians and bring to an end extrajudicial killings.
Polisi yeyote ambaye alihusika katika kifo cha Albert Ojwang lazima ashikwe, lazima apelekwe kotini, lazima afungwe maisha. Deputy Inspector General of Police Bwana Eliud Lagat lazima ashikwe, lazima apelekwe kotini na lazima afungwe.
I call upon the County Commissioner of Homa Bay to ensure that the peace we have enjoyed in Homa Bay is not disrupted. We want to say that the policemen have also indicated and shown that they also need emotional counseling. They need psychological counseling to exercise their duties in a manner that is professional and that is called for.
Ojwang died on 7th of June at the Central Police Station in Nairobi after being arrested by security officers at his father's home, Kakwanyo village, Homa Bay County.
Huyu kijana ambaye amelala hapo, Albert, munaona picha yake pale ilipo. Huyo kijana katika familia yangu ni shujaa.
Timothy Kipnusu for Easy Friday.
Rest well, Albert Ojwang. Moving on, now there was drama in Kiambu Police Station and Ruiru courts after two Democracy for Citizens party that started DCP youth leaders were rearrested by security officers. Immediately, they were released on cash and bond terms. Peter Kenyanjui Wanjiro and Sarah Wanjiko Thega were separately rearrested in a dramatic scene that saw security officers shoot in the air to scare away the crowd.
At the Ruiru Law Courts, Peter Kinyanjui Wanjiro alias Kawanjiro, arrested over claims of burning the Kikuyu police station during last week's demonstrations, had been released on personal 500,000 shillings bond by Chief Magistrate Joseph Were. But his freedom was short-lived after the security officer rearrested him in dramatic scenario with gunshots renting the air. This happened even as family members pelted the police and the van that ferried Kinyanjui amid screams.
Any notice to the respondent to avail himself of the investigating officer shall be relayed to his counsel, shall also be relayed to his counsel with no less than 24 hours notice. Any shorter time must be with the concurrence of the respondent and his counsel.
Naachilia mtoto wangu naenda kumchukua hivi juu ya kufuraha, hata hawezi kubali akanyange mchana. Wanakuja wananisukuma watu maskari, hata sijaiona, ni kama ameiba. Kenyanjui hajaua mtu, Kenyanjui hajaiba kitu ya mtu. Wanamtoa kwa mikono yangu na wanapiga risasi kwa koti na wanarusha tear gas.
At Kiambu Law Courts, Sarah Wanjiko Thiga, who was detained in Kiambu Police Station, was released on 50,000 shillings cash by bail through a virtual ruling. The process would take hours with claims of system failure. But when she finally emerged from her custody, DCI directives were on her case. She was whisked away in an unmarked car to an unknown destinations, leaving disgruntled youths creating havoc.
A team has already been dispatched. They already have the information on where she is or where she's being taken. So they are following to see where she is. From what we have realized, that's the highest amount they are going. They have very frivolous applications.
Kitu inatuuma sana kukuati tunapatiwa cash bail tunakuja hapa and then tukingoja kwe release anashikwa tena na ana charge for terrorism. What crime are we the young people committing for being just young people, being girls, being part of revolution yenye tunataka ihappen in our country?
Boniface Kasiva for Easy Friday.
All right, now Education Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok has assured the country that this year's national examinations will go on as planned following growing concerns over funding challenges. Now, speaking in Nairobi, Bitok confirmed that the government has secured the necessary funding for KPSEA, KLEA and KCSE exams, guaranteeing a credible and smooth exam season. Ben Chumba has more on that.
After weeks of concern surrounding the financing of national examinations, Education Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok has assured the country that all preparations are in place to deliver credible national examinations this year.
We want to wish all our learners all the best. Let us prepare. There's no cause of alarm. The government has been able to provide the resources required for the deployment of these exams, and all learners will be expected to write these exams.
Bitok has confirmed that the government has secured full funding of the KPSEA, KLEA and KCSE exams.
With the assistance of the Education Committee of the National Assembly, we have been able to secure the resources required to ensure that exams will be seamless.
His announcement comes as the country prepares for major exam transitions under the new competency-based education system.
I also want to assure the country that we have put in measures to ensure that all our grade 9 learners are able to transition smoothly from junior school to senior school. We have 1.2 learners who are going to join senior school.
The PS made the remarks during the official launch of the Education Assessment Resource Center, a NEC initiative designed to modernize how the country assesses learning. Located at New Mitihani House in South Sea, the facility will offer training, digital tools and research support to both national and regional educators. Ben Chumba, Easy Friday.
Right now, the government says it's open to dialogue with the media in efforts to foster national cohesion and responsible journalism. ICT and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary William Kago made these remarks during a media stakeholders forum held in Nakuru, where he emphasized the need for mutual engagement between the state and media houses. Kago noted that while the right to protest is enshrined in the Constitution, it must be exercised peacefully and responsibly. Meanwhile, Kenya Editors Guild President Zubeida Kananu urged for a safe and supportive working environment for journalists free from threats and intimidation.
So I figured I'm in government and I have to answer. But we had gone through things during the 1 hour before where it says you have to protect children between the hours of 5 o'clock and 10 o'clock. What do you call that? Watershed. So watershed. So I said because our children are at home and there was so much violence, I decided to. That was my truth for that moment. But I wish and I hope that we may never have to do this again by making sure that each and every one of us, Kenyans, media included, that we shall do our business responsibly.
Hii vitisho ya kuzimwa kila wakati, Bwana CS, tunaomba tafadhali. I know we've agreed that we'll work on a communique that will present to your office. Lakini one thing, the threats that we keep facing on a day-to-day, our environment is quite toxic at the moment. We cannot breathe in peace without watching over our shoulder to see who is following us. So ombi letu tu peke yake ni kwamba tupewe nafasi kufanya kazi yetu, na sisi tutafanya kazi yetu kwa heshima, si ndio? We are patriotic Kenyans, si ndio?
All right, we thank you most sincerely for choosing us tonight. We have more news lined up for you. What has the opposition been up to in Western region? And it's not all rosy and healthy, as the Nairobi Hospital leadership wrangles seem far from over. Details are coming up, but on the other side of the break. Keep on.
Tuzungumze kwa hekima na heshima, tutulize nafsi, tupeane busara, tuwe na mazungumzo ya kujenga, tuelewane mimi na wewe, tusipoziba ufa tutajenga ukuta.
Wizara ya Afya inazindua kampeni ya chanjo ya homa ya matumbo na ukambi na surua kuanzia tarehe 5 hadi 14 Julai mwaka wa 2025. Watoto walio kati ya miezi 9 hadi miaka 14 watapewa chanjo ya homa ya matumbo. Watoto walio kati ya miezi 9 hadi miaka 5 watapewa chanjo ya ukambi na surua. Chanjo hizi ni salama na wahudumu wetu wa afya watapatikana katika vituo vyote vya afya, mashule, masoko na vyumba vya maombi karibu nawe. Homa ya matumbo ni hatari na ni muhimu kuendelea kuzingatia usafi wa maji na kanuni za usafi hata baada ya kupokea chanjo. Ukambi ni ugonjwa unaosambaa haraka na unaweza kusababisha matatizo makubwa mwilini na hata kifo. Chanjo dhidi ya ukambi hutoa kinga thabiti. Tuwalinde watoto wetu. Hakikisha wamepata chanjo hii. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Afya ikishirikiana na UNICEF na Shirika la Afya Duniani.
Looking to advertise on KBC? KBC announcement services are now available on eCitizen. Visit kbc.ecitizen.go.ke and fill out the online application form. It's simple. 1. Complete the form. 2. Upload required documents. 3. Receive a quotation based on word count. And 4. Get notified via SMS when your announcement is ready. Please note, clearly indicate the type of announcement, service station, and all relevant details. 2. All applications must be made online only. Manual submissions will not be accepted. And 3. Announcements will air after news bulletins. For assistance, reach us on email ecitizen@kbc.co.ke or use our social media handles, Facebook, your Facebook account, and X at your X account. Or you can call us on 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124. KBC announcements. Simple, fast, and digital.
And Lamin Kamara with his first career goal.
Ni muda wa kuhesabu kwa ajili ya kusherekea fasili na asili ya soka barani Afrika, ligi za ndani na magwiji wasiotambulika.
Mangeni Alvin anaichanja ndani uzuri. David!
Michuano ya CAF ya mataifa ya Afrika 2024 ni njia ya kuzindua kupanua mtandao wa wachezaji ulimwenguni. Timu itakayoshinda itazawadiwa dola za Marekani milioni 3.5 pamoja na kujivunia kulinyanyua kombe hilo. Pata manufaa zaidi kutoka kwa CHAN 2024 mubashara na kipute cha kipekee kwenye runinga ya KBC Channel 1, mwenzio wa dhati michezoni.
All right, welcome back to Easy Friday. Let's continue with the comprehensive coverage of the news that's been shipping up today. Now, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki Friday led an economic empowerment program in Malindi constituency, Kilifi County, where he emphasized the government's commitment to uplifting grassroots livelihoods. Now, speaking at Jilore grounds in Malindi constituency, the Deputy President reiterated the government's commitment to supporting women through targeted economic programs and access to credit facilities. Khalid Abdullahi has the details.
Hundreds of residents turned out at Jilore grounds in Malindi constituency as Deputy President Kithure Kindiki presided over an economic empowerment program aimed at transforming local livelihoods. DP Kindiki emphasized that empowering women economically is a key pillar in the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
From fish landing site to affordable housing, to markets, to roads, to last mile electricity, to SHA, hiyo ndio kazi. Na tuko hapa leo kuchanga kwa sababu ya vikundi vya kina mama. Kuna watu kule Nairobi wameshiba, wanatuambia tuachane na hii program. Lakini hii program hatuwezi tukaacha.
The second in command reiterated the government's commitment to expanding access to affordable credit for small businesses through initiatives such as the Hustler Fund and community savings groups.
Ukisikia two term wanasema zile barabara zimejengwa ziongezeke zaidi, hiyo ndio two term. Ukisikia two term ile fish landing site imejengwa iongezwe maradufu two term. Hiyo pesa ya stima imetolewa iongezwe maradufu two term.
Leaders who accompanied the Deputy President applauded the initiative, saying it reflects the government's resolve to decentralize development and address regional disparities.
Kina mama tunataka kuhakikisha ya kwamba katika serikali ya William Samoei Ruto, vile alisema ni bottom kwenda wapi na akasema pesa wapi, tunataka kina mama wawe na hela mfukoni.
Na sisi kama wapwani tuko na kila sababu ya kumuunga Mheshimiwa William Ruto mkono. Tumeelewana vizuri? Kwa sababu ndiyo serikali hii pekee tangia Kenya ipate uhuru imejali sisi kama wapwani.
The DP urged residents to ignore what they termed as propaganda from the opposition, insisting that development is not about politics but service delivery.
Wale majamaa watukome na wakome wananchi. Umesikia wengine hapo walishindwa na kazi. Walipewa kazi kubwa ikawashinda. Hawajui kukaa vizuri na wananchi, hawajui kukaa vizuri na viongozi wenzao. Sasa wanarandaranda huko.
The Deputy President also pledged more national government support in equipping youth and women with technical skills and access to markets, assuring locals that the coast region will not be left behind in the country's development agenda. The program saw the issuance of training tools and business equipment to over 300 women-led groups across Kilifi County.
All right, then now moving on. Now, the opposition has launched a charm offensive in Western Kenya, urging the Mulembe Nation to rally behind its reform agenda, led by DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua. They faulted politicians from the region aligned with the government for allegedly advancing their interests over the region's interests. The opposition ran into a hostile crowd in Chwele, temporarily leading to running battles.
Politicians intensified their political charm offensive in the western region, rallying the Mulembe Nation to unite behind its push for reforms and accountability in government, dismissing claims of fueling violence during the recent protests.
Alafu serikali inatuambia eti ni upinzani imelipa hao watu. Sisi tuko na namna ya kulipa watu kama hao. Sisi hatuna namna ya kulipa goons.
The leaders urging area residents to reject what they claimed was politics of selfish interest.
Jamii ya magharibi sisi tuko wengi kwa idadi ya watu, si ndio? Lakini wakati masuala ya kitaifa yanajadiliwa, sisi hatuko kwenye hiyo meza. Kuna majamaa wawili wamekaa pale ati wanakula kwa niaba yetu. Ati wakishiba sisi tumeshiba. Nyinyi mnakubali maneno? Sema tawe. Nyinyi mmetumika vibaya, sisi tumetumika vibaya. Wale wametumia nyinyi vibaya na sisi wameshikana. Wale ambaye tumetumiwa vibaya na sisi tushikane, tujipange.
The leaders further called on residents to remain vigilant and demand good governance, saying the region has been used as a bargaining chip for the national politics without meaningful development.
Hii mambo lazima ikome. If you want a country that is reliable, that takes care of his people, that takes care of his most vulnerable, that takes care of people with disability, that takes care of people from Bungoma, then we must demand good governance.
This coming as they dismissed claims that the opposition was behind the violence during the protests. For Easy Friday, I'm Gladys Mongai.
Now, the Nairobi Hospital leadership wrangles seem far from over, with the chairmanship role now at the heart of the standoff. One faction of the Nairobi Hospital board, led by Herman Manyora, has accused the Dr. Buckley Onyambu-led faction of disobeying a court order issued on the 3rd of this month, halting a retreat planned for the 4th of July in Naivasha. Well, Dr. Onyambu insists he is the bona fide chairperson. Manyora, on the other hand, says he was duly appointed to the helm of that particular board.
The Nairobi Hospital is once again in the headlines. This is after two factions have emerged with the National Hospital Board claiming the chairmanship role. One faction of the Nairobi Hospital Board led by Herman Manyora, while another led by Dr. Buckley Onyambu. The two are claiming the chairmanship role of the institution.
I want to state clearly that I do remain as the chairman of the Board of Management. My name is Dr. Buckley Onyambu, and I was duly elected.
That's why a majority of the board members sat down in a meeting duly convened according to our legal instruments, according to our articles of association, and they decided to remove the chairman, who is part of the cartel, the group that is bringing down this hospital. And we did it procedurally, a majority, 7 out of 13.
Manyora says despite the court order, Dr. Onyambu and co still conducted the retreat that concludes on Friday in Naivasha.
I asked the court, I've been duly elected as chairman. I have cancelled a retreat and anything that's going on in Naivasha. The court accepted with me, agreed with me, and issued an order. Could it get worse than that?
This as Dr. Onyambu denying claims of a leadership change, dismissing reports online of leadership changes with the board.
And therefore no changes have occurred at the helm of this board. Secondly, there has been no legal or court order for us to vacate the leadership as the board of management.
With the two factions at odds, both camps are assuring Kenyans of an uninterrupted healthcare service delivery and institutional integrity despite the public leadership wrangles witnessed.
And we will not be detracted by anyone. No busybodies, no one who's interested in anything else than good clinical practice in the hospital is going to detract us.
He does not have the power. He has not been given room, let alone power, to negotiate with board members when to have a meeting.
Whereby you find that legal fees are going in the region of 300 million shillings, 400 million shillings, and the litigations are not ceasing.
I want to emphasize that we want to turn this hospital around. And the only way to return it to its former glory is by having the right leadership.
It is no politics. It is not about who is getting what. It is about turning around this hospital because we know where we were and we know where we are capable of being.
The matter on the retreat is set to be mentioned in court on the 9th of this month. Abdiaziz Hashim for Easy Friday.
All right, now a section of health unions are tonight condemning what they describe as continued violent attacks meted out to healthcare workers during protests in the country. Led by the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union Secretary General Dr. Davji Atela, the unions now say medical workers have become targets in the very protests where they have long been lifesavers. The healthcare workers now threaten to withdraw their services during protests.
They have always been there amidst the clouds of tear gas, in the chaos and bloodied streets, patching up wounds and reviving the unconscious. Medical workers have always been at the forefront during the protest, and not as combatants, but as caregivers. However, the health unions, led by KMPDU's Secretary General Dr. Davji Atela, have now raised a red flag over what they say is escalating cases of violent attacks meted out to healthcare workers by alleged police officers and hired goons.
A good number of them are traumatized. Some have actually fallen victim to this culture of violence, mostly meted by police and the goons. And even those who are in the facilities, they're also traumatized by the things that we are seeing.
KMPDU has also decried an alarming trend where medics in their ongoing strike in various parts of the country have now become victims of the targeted attacks.
The goonism that has come up in a very strong way, we have witnessed in our demonstration in Kakamega when the doctors were attacked by the goons. Yesterday, the doctors who were moving or protesting in Kwale were also attacked by the goons. This is a clear indication that there are chaos. And whenever chaos are there, we cannot expect ourselves in any way that we can prosper.
The unions have also noted that public hospitals are now at a breaking point, a looming crisis stemming from the growing number of protest-related casualties.
From the records of the hospitals are already indicating being overwhelmed after every protest. Last week, after the protest, there were so many victims that were admitted in public facilities. There are so many injuries that otherwise can be prevented if we have a situation that there is restraint. The restraint from the police, the restraints and the removal of these goons from the streets so that peaceful protests can actually be peaceful. To ensure that ideally, we do not have victims or we do not have casualties that otherwise would be prevented.
To avert the devastating aftermath of this protest, the healthcare workers are now appealing to the country's top leadership to steer a national dialogue to curb the crisis.
Basically, to ask for an introspection as a country and as a people. We have been observing what has been happening, and especially the culture of violence that we are seeing against the health workers.
Sisi hatutaruhusu wahudumu wa afya kwenda kazini kama watakuwa wanaibiwa wakiwa njiani wanaenda kufanya kazi, ama hawakitoka kazini wakienda nyumbani kwao.
John Kahiro, Easy Friday.
Unions, viva! Viva! Viva!
Right now, health scientists are warning of an increase in cases of diseases being spread from animals to humans. The scientists are now calling for urgent investment towards surveillance and grassroots disease reporting, warning of an imminent outbreak of zoonotic diseases. Joseph Wahungo has more details on that.
The country is set to mark this year's World Zoonosis Day on Sunday, July 6th, under the theme, You Can't Fight What You Can't Say. Speaking ahead of the commemoration, scientists and animal health experts have warned zoonotic diseases, among them rabies, brucellosis, chikungunya and MERS-CoV, are emerging as threats to both health and livelihoods in the country.
The World Health Organization estimates that, actually its research has researched that 60% of all human infectious diseases actually have an animal origin. This reminds us that today we all have a role to play on on promotion of awareness of zoonotic diseases.
Stakeholders who met at the University of Nairobi's Institute of Tropical and Infectious Diseases, the Center for Epidemiological Modeling and Analysis, CEMA, said that while more than 60% of infectious diseases in humans are transmitted from animals, many Kenyans remain unaware of the risks hiding in milk, meat, or simple animal contact.
In terms of our protection, especially the high-risk groups, the ones I talked about, like the slaughterhouse workers, the herders, the veterinarians, we need always, when we handle animals, we need to work using personal protective equipment.
The experts are also calling for the empowering of communities to report unusual animal or human illnesses, adding that with proper use of data, most of these diseases can be stopped before they start.
The ideal case would be a case where all the people within the community, including ourselves, have somewhere we can say, I have seen abortion, and you can actually post it there. I have seen diarrhea, or bloody diarrhea. I've seen hemorrhage in this and this, so that then we have as much information on the ground as possible.
Joseph Wahungu for Easy Friday.
The men and women in boots. They are commanded to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. Their bravery knows no limits.
Make a man go through the wall without breaking the wall. Laziness. It is not in our vocabulary.
But what are their stories, their tales? Military Tales, every Saturday at 9 p.m. with Ben Troy Njoe.
All right, welcome back to Easy Friday. The National Taxpayers Association, NTA, has urged the government to redouble budgetary allocations for non-communicable diseases. NTA says the non-communicable diseases crisis in Kenya is due to chronic underfunding and policy gaps with the diseases responsible for the more than 4 in every 10 deaths in the country. And there's a report analyzing the 2025 budget allocation for those non-communicable diseases was launched, and as Kenya moves towards universal health coverage, there are renewed calls to place the NCDs, that's the non-communicable diseases, at the center of health financing discussions.
The National Taxpayers Association, among other stakeholders, have launched a new National Strategic Plan report analyzing the 2025 national budget allocation for non-communicable diseases. Chronic underfunding and policy gaps have, however, been identified as a major challenge in the non-communicable diseases war in the country.
17% of the total budget of the health sector to be allocated towards the NCD sector. However, this is still very low. We need more resources to be allocated to the NCD sector.
We can't detect the product. So this shows clearly that this is the target for the future market of tobacco products.
According to a report on budget allocation for NCDs launched jointly today by various stakeholders, an analysis which tracked budgetary allocations and expenditures between financial year 2021 and financial year 2025-2026 has revealed that while NCDs are rapidly rising in Kenya, with public health response remaining very low.
The budget control towards control of NCDs can be increased for it to be able to deal with the high incidences we are seeing within the NCDs. Then secondly, we are here again to push the government for increased taxation for tobacco and nicotine products.
In the 32%, it accounts for both the VAT and the excise taxes, whereby the World Health Organization, FCTC, recommends a 70% of retail price of the excise taxes.
The report by the Kenya Tobacco Control and Health Promotion Alliance, National Taxpayers Association, Consumer Information Network, among others, has called for specific ring-fenced allocations for NCDs in future budgets, backed by improved monitoring, clear indicators, and stronger interagency coordination.
So about 8 million people globally, the deaths are attributable to tobacco and the nicotine use. So we realize that if nothing is done, such high numbers, even in our own country, are going to be affected.
We are guided by research which shows that the burden is increasing. So we should also increase the tax and ensure that our people are protected from that angle.
Right now, former president of the Law Society of Kenya, Nelson Havi, now wants the three-judge bench constituted to hear a petition seeking the removal of Chief Justice Martha Koome and the 6 other Supreme Court judges disbanded in a certificate of urgency. Havi has given numerous reasons for his application, calling for a new bench to be appointed. Now, the three-judge bench, comprising Justices Charles Kariuki, Lawrence Mugambi and Bahati Mwamuye, also had a hard time explaining why a matter touching on the Chief Justice was given an October date hearing rather than an earlier date. The Supreme Court judges are accused of violating the Constitution and the Judicial Code of Conduct.
Havi's application for recusal of the apex judges being given an October 3rd date for submissions was the bone of contention when the matter came up on Friday.
Or rejoinder to your submissions on the affidavit within 7 days after service, then highlighting we have a date on 3rd October because one of us is going and come back around that time.
The Justice Kariuki-led bench cited a backlog of pending cases and an impending judicial leave as the reasons for the delay. However, Havi urged the bench to consider an earlier date, citing October as too far, given the nature and weight of the application.
We can't have a matter of this kind being adjourned to October unless the court just doesn't want to hear it.
According to Havi's certificate of urgency, and I quote, the appointment of the three-judge bench by the CJ, who is a party to the 7 consolidated petitions, is unconstitutional and unlawful.
This is a matter concerning, my Lord, just listen to me. Yes. This is a matter concerning judges of the Supreme Court. It has been prioritized as urgent. What can be more urgent to this court?
Also contested is the judicial seniority of the bench, diverse legal philosophies, regional representation, professional backgrounds, and gender balance, among other issues.
So you have to bear with us. There are many cases we are here, including Manda, and we have matters far because of the workload we are having, you know that. So bear with us, we come on that. We do our best, and then from there we can give the date, nearest date possible.
The 7 consolidated petitions challenge the conduct and suitability of the Supreme Court judges, allege violations of the Constitution and the Judicial Code of Conduct. Ruth Wamboi for Easy Friday.
All right, now players in the waste management sector want the government to enact a regulatory framework for the recycling process of worn-out automotive parts and e-waste. Now, speaking during the graduation ceremony for the first Kahoot of eco-friendly end-of-life recycling vehicle course at Nairobi National Polytechnic, the group termed managing disposed vehicles and e-waste a huge contributing factor to environmental pollution.
With third world countries increasingly perceived to be becoming a dumping site for second-hand vehicles and used electronic equipment, stakeholders in the waste management sector are pushing for the adoption of end-of-life vehicle recycling techniques to help declutter the environment and in turn create job opportunities for the youth.
This is a vehicle that we can say is typically scrapped, and we dismantle it or recycle it other than just continue operating on the roads. Beyond the classroom, this project creates invaluable opportunities for local private sector stakeholders, policymakers, and community members.
Nairobi National Polytechnic Chief Principal Glory Mutungi, speaking during the institution's graduation ceremony of the first 154 cohort of eco-friendly end-of-life recycling vehicle course.
Unajua sasa wengine hawataki kufanya kazi ya uchafu, wanaona hii kazi ya uchafu like ni mbaya. But mimi naweza encourage, hii ndio opportunity, hapa ndio place.
Called on the government to enact laws restricting the dumping of second-hand vehicles and electronics in the country and put in place strict guidelines and procedures for recycling.
This is another skill on top of what they have been learning, a skill in recycling. So that is a plus. We have added a skill to the graduates.
We had the government agencies that are involved to help us enact a law. And this law will enable us as a country.
As we speak, the bill is with at the Attorney General Chambers for redrafting because we have to include now the EVs.
This comes amid calls for collaboration between TVET institutions and concerned ministries to actualize and strengthen the initiative.
For the sector, we want to escalate this to the 240 TVET institutions across the country. This new technology of recycling of automotive parts.
When we get collaborations and partners through that support, we'll be able to meet the objective that we are here for.
Opicho Chemtai for Easy Friday.
Right now, the Ministry of Education has stepped up efforts to integrate green energy and climate-smart technologies into the country's technical training institutions. In a bold move to prepare the youth for future jobs, the ministry, in partnership with Schneider Electric, has commissioned a state-of-the-art clean energy lab at Kabete National Polytechnic. TVET Secretary at the Ministry of Education, Joseph Njau, said the initiative is part of a national rollout targeting all 244 TVET institutions aimed at equipping learners with skills in renewable energy and sustainable industrial technologies. Ben Chumba reports.
So this workshop is officially open.
A bold step towards a sustainable future. The country's push for green skills training has taken a leap forward with the unveiling of a state-of-the-art green energy lab, courtesy of a partnership between the Ministry of Education and Schneider Electric East Africa.
You can see how it affects the equipment.
Fully equipped and future-focused, the new facility is designed to train students in solar, wind, hydrogen and electric mobility systems, preparing young people for green jobs in an evolving global market.
So we want to be ready as a country by the time these jobs come over. We'll be the first ones to take over. We'll be the first ones even to export the skilled labor to other countries, because in Kenya we are saying we are not training only for the Kenyan market, but we are training for the international market.
The other thing that we are also bringing to this lab is augmented reality that will be used for training. So one student that will be able to manage digital twins, use it to bring productivity in what they do, but also in the learning environment as well.
Learners are now gaining hands-on experience with the technologies driving the global clean energy transition, Kabete National Polytechnic is the latest to benefit from this initiative, becoming the second institution after PC Kinyanjui Technical Training Institute to receive such an upgrade.
We are equipping our students or our trainees with the essential skills for the green economy. And definitely through this, we are also trying to align ourselves with the global happening and what is happening globally.
We want to replicate this to all activity institutions if possible. It's a tall order because we have 244 activity institutions to date in the whole country, but we're going to do our level best to ensure that this clean energy is going to be replicated in the other institutions.
5 more labs are already in the pipeline.
Our aim is to be able to reach more schools and even more importantly, bring that know-how, knowledge, empowerment to, I can say, underprivileged youth, because we believe that you don't need to give the person the fish, you just need to show them how, and they will create amazing, beautiful things. And we see that already happening.
Ben Chumba, Easy Friday.
All right, you're watching continued coverage of the news that's been shaping up. We've got business news coming up. Karen Jenga has the details and latest spots with Bernard Okumu. But before that, let's look at those keyboard warriors. We call them the savage netizens. And the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua's Hi Cousins campaign slogan has been trending on social media for months now, becoming good fodder for the keyboard warriors. But what mesmerizes the cyber surfers is National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah's mimicking of that particular slogan. Yeah, the savage netizens with the test.
In a digital age, a catchy phrase easily goes viral. So let's find out which phrase has been trending online.
Hi cousins. Hi cousins. Hi Makuzo.
Hi cousins, a slogan that has gained traction on social media realm.
Hi cousins. Hi.
Hi cousins. Hi Makuzo.
Naambia mtu, hi cousin, alafu anakuambia, mimi si cousin yako.
The phrase, which is attributed to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, has lit wildfires online.
Hi Kuzo. Cousins, hi.
Mimi Mkamba. Mimi Mkamba. Mimi Mkikuyu, sisi cousin. Hi. Cousin. Hi cousin. Niaje Kuzo. Hi cousin.
But the family fun would soon get crushed by Kimani Ichung'wah. His reaction surely left the netizens typing and deleting.
Anafika, anasema hi. Mulisikia nyai ati hi cousin. Ukifika Ukambani nyai cousin.
Florence observation, naona Kima amejam tu sana.
Nyai cousin.
DJ Mighty wrote, hii sasa ndio kiwaru ya primary.
Nyai cousin.
Bets take away, nasikia hadi cousins.
Nyai cousin.
Without a question, this would definitely turn into a cousin trend for the ungovernable netizens.
Anafika, anasema hi. God have mercy upon us. Mulisikia nyai ati hi cousin. Ukifika Ukambani nyai cousin.
Well, the hi cousin slogan, just like reggae, would not stop, for it continued to take center stage in various parts of the country.
Nimekuja kutafuta Makuzo. Hi cousins.
Nyai cousin.
Seems these are turned out to be a family affair, according to Reggie G.
The Mijikenda are our cousins. The Kisis are our cousins. The Luyas are our cousins. The Kurias are our cousins. You know? The Masais are my in-laws. Right. You know?
Hi, cousin.
Well, while we are still in the cousin spirit, how about we enjoy this music banger?
Navuta boom sadi nisikie urao sizi kuchukia lakini na kudharao makarao nasikia shika hao tuko sao na kutuka ni raba shatinga bao.
Well, that's it for us. Catch you next week on Savage Netizens for Easy Friday. I am Teresa Mutai.
Na bado tingi sijamochwa, win or lose bado we still the boost.
Nani? Jahazi. Jahazi? Kwa hakika Jahazi ameingia leo. Yuko wapi? Kwa Doris.
Ina wakati wa matambara ya kitajiri.
Matambara ya kitajiri?
Ndio. Inda alijipata kwenye utajiri.
Mwanangu mpendwa. Njoo nikukumbatie. Njoo.
Chukua pesa zako na utuache. Ondoka sasa hivi.
Nikasimu kasema kuwa.
Nikasema Pasha amepelekwa ICU.
Ati nini?
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima
tutamfuga ng'ombe wa maziwa.
Tumkame.
Mayouth wote tungewahimiza wasifikirie ati ukulima ni kitu chafu. Wajue ukulima ina faida, na hiyo ndio kazi tunafanya, na watoto wetu tumewasomesha mpaka university na hii kilimo yetu biashara.
Tazama Mkulima Jumamosi hii saa 10:30 hapa KBC.
Tukupe uhondo kamili.
Well, thank you for staying with Easy Friday. We now change gears and look at business. My name is Wairimu Ojwang. Now, the government is banking on increased pyrethrum production to support pesticide and other chemical manufacturing to reduce the country's chemical import bill. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kago says the government is reforming pyrethrum subsector in a bid to revive pyrethrum production. Kago has today inaugurated the pyrethrum processing company of Kenya Board.
Kenya imported insecticides and fungicides worth 20 billion shillings in 2024, a 15% increase from 2023. The government says Kenya is keen on increasing pyrethrum production to reduce pesticide imports and spur local chemical manufacturing. To increase production and streamline operation in the pyrethrum subsector, the Agriculture Cabinet Secretary has inaugurated the Pyrethrum Processing Company of Kenya Board to oversee implementation of pyrethrum policies.
The goal is to revive this sector by concurrently addressing both the supply and demand side factors to not only regain our position in this value chain globally, but innovate to meet the demands of an ever more aspirational, environmentally and health-conscious consumer.
Kago says the board will also be tasked with creating market linkages for farmers' pyrethrum.
Investing in research and production, providing market linkages for our world-renowned organic pyrethrin.
In a raft of policies, Kenya plans to patent Kenya's organic pyrethrin to increase farmers' earnings.
And we are reclaiming our intellectual property rights and other assets so that farmers and Kenya can earn its rightful share of revenues from production and royalties.
Farmers and chemical manufacturers have been urged to take advantage of the recent ban on several pesticides to manufacture chemicals suitable for the Kenyan farmers.
The rising supply gap from these banned molecules will be filled by encouraging both local and foreign investors to buy from you, the pyrethrum farmer. Add value here so as to create jobs.
Benson Rioba reporting for Easy Friday.
Now, to the housing sector, contractors are being urged to fully align their operations with the National Building Code 2024 as the government steps up efforts to modernize and professionalize the construction sector. Public Works Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome says enforcement of standards has been intensified, saying the government will not compromise on quality.
In response to rising cases of building collapses and substandard works due to outdated compliance systems, the government moved to strengthen its regulatory framework with the gazettement of the National Building Code 2024. It is against this backdrop that stakeholders at the 2025 Annual Contractors Conference in Nairobi are urging contractors to fully align their operations with the new code, citing it as a critical tool for restoring order in the industry.
The National Building Code 2024 is already bearing fruits. A few months after it came into effect on 1st of March 2025.
First user-centered,
digitally adaptable, code that harmonizes decades of fragmented standards into a cohesive framework for modern, safe, and sustainable construction.
National Construction Authority says it is committed to ensuring compliance across all construction activities.
It is time for all Kenyans to be aware of this policy, because we understand and we are aware that there are some masqueraders and rotten apples that we now intend to do more targeted weeding out of the same, because we know majority of our contractors are compliant with the law.
We don't want to see anything like a failed building, a failed construction, wasted investments. We just want to get it right from the word go.
Through strengthened enforcement, digitization of approvals, training of county officers, and mandatory compliance pathways for developers and contractors, we are creating a safety net that protects both lives and livelihoods. For every safe building, there is a family spared from tragedy or a business enterprise that is spared.
Held under the theme innovatively integrating the National Building Code 2024 into the current technical construction and infrastructure landscape, the conference also marked the official launch of the Construction Excellence Awards, an initiative to recognize and reward outstanding achievements in the sector.
Achieving gender parity in STEM fields is key to fostering innovation, entrepreneurship, and inclusive growth. Speaking ahead of the upcoming Women in STEM Africa Summit 2025, Women in Technology and Innovation Africa CEO Joyce Muthoni noted that the urgent need to dismantle cultural and institutional barriers that prevent women and girls from pursuing careers in science-related fields. The recent statistics reveal that women constitute only 35% of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics graduates, with barriers such as discrimination, gender stereotypes, and a lack of support and mentorship continue to limit women entry into STEM careers.
We know very well that women are caretakers, and most of the time women are held behind because of this important role that they play in the society. In caretaking, it could be caretaking of a child or a sick mother or a sick father or anybody
Although
else.
Kenya has made great strides in promoting STEM education among women, experts say sustained collaboration and targeted interventions are vital to boost female participation in this field.
This is something that actually WITIA is here to address. We want these statistics to flip over. Instead of 35, we want the other way around. The time people think that STEM area is not really a women-related area. It's more of men-related area. And it has been, fair enough, but it has been for a long time. And this is why we want to disabuse this particular analog, because we want women to come out in numbers and join other women.
They also highlighted the need to strengthen links between STEM research, entrepreneurship, and policy making to scale up African-led innovations that improve lives across communities.
What we have been organizing and doing is setting up libraries in rural communities where we equip the library with computers, with software, and students are able to come in, communities are able to come in, so it's a community-based solution as well.
From health tech to agri-tech, climate solutions or education, experts stressed that meaningful innovation require both local insights and global collaboration.
And that's why this year we've decided to bring it more innovation, more innovative, and invite WITIA to come and just talk to these people, not only women, of course, they're targeting women, but then again, we're also looking at evolving more ways of how we can improve the innovation in this forum.
The Women in STEM Africa Summit 2025, under the theme Borderless Innovation, kicks off next week and is expected to bring together over 500 delegates from 20 African countries. The Kenya Tourism Board is banking on growing demand for nature and adventure products to reposition the Aberdare Ranges as an iconic destination for hiking and adventure. According to KTB Chief Executive June Chepkemei, the move is expected to boost the Central Kenya tourism circuit. Regina Manyara is on the magical trails and files the following report.
Barely 6 minutes past 6 a.m. Friday, and participants are warming up before embarking on a 5-hour hike up the Aberdare Ranges.
We want to use the trail product just as a way of diversifying from the traditional safari and beach, and in that way attract a different demographic of traveler.
The fast leg targets the famous crown jewel of the Aberdare, Oldonyo Lesetima, which lies 4,001 meters above sea level.
Trail series also involves the guiding, and we are hoping as we build this product, we are going to see that the guiding services becoming mainstream in all the areas that we run the trails.
As boots crunch the dust, scenic views are on display, giving an immersive experience for nature enthusiasts. Leaving nothing to chance, the Kenya Wildlife Service officers guide the participants up the trail. From the slopes, the Great Rift Valley and Mount Kenya are in sight. Stakeholders say the trail is key in driving traffic to underserved facilities within the Mount Kenya region.
The visitor's book, it just tells me this is magic. We enjoyed the place, it's quiet, and the fact that there is no signal. And I'm hoping that I'll never bring a signal here. The idea is to just keep it quiet. People come and enjoy, meditate, have yoga.
The Magical Trail Aberdare edition sets pace for upcoming series, including Mount Kenya, Central Rift, and Mount Elgon Mountain Run trails, as Kenya works at hosting at least 200,000 adventure travelers over the next 5 years. It is a mixed bag of beans for adventure enthusiasts who participated in the Magical Trail Series Aberdare edition, covering roughly 30 kilometers, quite the terrain, as well as dropping temperatures. But what is clear that this presents a nexus between history as well as adventure at a time when marketing agency Kenya Tourism Board is steering Kenya towards diversification of her tourism offerings. I'm Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1 from the Aberdares.
Integrating technology into insurance is critical to achieving mass adoption, especially among underserved communities. Speaking during the signing of the partnership agreement between ASA International and Turaco, stakeholders emphasized the need for digital solutions to simplify access, reduce cost, and build trust in insurance products. The partnership will see Turaco integrate ASA's technology-driven insurance model into its loan offerings to allow customers to automatically receive cover for business and medical emergencies, especially for low-income earners, by embedding insurance into services, especially for low-income earners.
Really need to think not only from a company perspective, but from a client perspective. How do you get the client journey as smooth as possible? It should be doable within minutes to do the onboarding of a client, to disburse a loan. And the same goes, we've talked about the turnaround time. Once a calamity happens, within 6 to 10 hours, the turnaround time is there to have the claim paid.
We are focusing on everybody else that the big insurance companies have ignored and trying to design products that are explicitly for them, that work well for mass market consumers, that work well for shopkeepers and boda drivers and people that currently just don't have easy access to insurance products that are really designed and affordable for them.
Adoption of innovative technologies will help farmers cut post-harvest losses, estimated to be almost 30% in Kenya. Cooperative Principal Secretary Patrick Kilemi says post-harvest losses continue to stalk farmers, worsening the country's food security.
Latest data from the Ministry of Agriculture indicates that nearly 30 to 40% of food produced in Kenya is lost after harvest, largely due to poor storage, transport, and market access. In order to avert this, the government says it is fast-tracking the creation of policy incentives that seek to encourage private investments in storage as well as processing facilities.
By leveraging on these cooperative financing models, we can expand affordable credit to small businesses, we can put resources for large-scale investments, and empower our communities to participate fully in our national economic transformation.
Additionally, plans are underway to provide low-interest loans through partnerships with development banks and microfinance institutions. Cooperatives Principal Secretary Patrick Kilemi says this will aid in improving farmers' credit scores and de-risk their lending profiles.
This synergy is vital for delivering a larger and more backable projects that create jobs, strengthen local value chains, and lift communities out of poverty.
Even in terms of budget allocation, now we are aligned. We also needed to highlight that to government so that they get to understand where to channel actually their resources.
Ndutamokami for Easy Friday.
Last but not least, a new solar and biomass-powered hybrid dryer has been set up in Kitui County in a bid to boost the county's agricultural sector. The hybrid dryer, which also seeks to reduce post-harvest losses, can process up to 12,000 tons of produce annually.
The facility will also serve as a training hub, empowering youth with valuable agribusiness and food processing skills. This initiative is expected to create much-needed jobs in the community, contributing to the local economy's growth. The launch of the hybrid dryer is a collaboration between Vine Fruits and Vegetable Kenya Limited, the Africa Center for Technology Studies, and the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology.
Focus with this project was really to understand how we can leverage technology to improve livelihoods of farmers in Kitui. Post-harvest losses in Kitui, especially for the mango value chain, is at on average 40%, but if you speak to individual farmers, you can get it up to 80%. So that's why Kitui is a really good case for how we can show technology can improve livelihoods.
Meanwhile, the Kenya Tea Development Agency plans to reduce costs associated with tea processing in its allied factories in a bid to increase earnings for smallholder farmers. KTDA Chairman Chege Kirundi says the agency has partnered with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization to explore and research more on the use of gasification in powering tea processing in all its allied factories in a bid to make tea growing and processing more sustainable and equitable.
Our sustainability strategy goes from now to the year 3000 and beyond. So today was a major milestone for the beginning of the third phase of KTD growth. We feel that the strategy to add value of 40% of our tea production is possible.
And that's where we put a cap on tonight's business news, but do not go anywhere. Bernard Okumu brings you the sports update. My name is Wairi Mujenga. Have a great weekend.
So with us is a man of God, but before all this, he was behind bars for 12 years.
The age of 13, mimi nilikuwa responsible kulisha familia yangu. Nikajipata, of course, wase wako na guns nini, so nikaanza tu kuwafuata. Makara wako side moja, sisi tuko side moja, exchange inafanyika. So unajua nikitoka hapa, either mtu anaweza nigonga, either mtu wako ama karao. So walipona karao alichukua kaitupa. Tukiwa tunapita hivi na makarao tukienda, dogi ndio inakuja na money belt. Alafu inakuja inaonyesha nani ametupa.
There is a God who restores, 12 years now serving the Lord with this powerful testimony.
Women's Africa Cup of Nations, Morocco.
Feel the pulse of a continent.
where Africa's fiercest women warriors clash for glory in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations 2024. Africa's top teams, one crown. Morocco hosts once more, ready to etch new legends into history. Rising stars, one stage to shine.
And it is the Copper Queen. They have been waiting for this moment. Here's a chance for a second. South African lead by 2-0 in this final, and he'll never higher.
This is more than football, it's African excellence. It's women's power. Don't miss WAFCON 2024, live from Morocco.
And thank you for staying with us. It is time for the latest from the sports world with me, Bernard Okumu. And let's begin with athletics, where the Athletics Kenya national trials for the Tokyo World Athletics Championship will be held on Tuesday, the 22nd of July at the Ulinzi Sports Complex instead of the 1st and 2nd of August as earlier scheduled. In a statement released on Friday by Athletics Kenya, the organizers say they have been forced to change the date for the trials due to the unavailability of the Ulinzi Stadium on the 1st and 2nd of next month. Athletics Kenya has emphasized that participation will be done by invitation only and urged all athletes to plan according to the new dates. Only athletes who have met qualifying times and Athletics Integrity Unit AIU requirements will compete during the trials. Athletics Kenya is expected to select a formidable team for the 20th World Championship set for Tokyo, Japan between the 13th and 21st of September this year. Kenya will be targeting to improve her 2023 results in Budapest, Hungary, where they finished 5th overall with 3 gold, 3 silver and 4 bronze medals. Also, the Kenya women para-volley team has secured a direct ticket to represent Africa in this year's World Cup, which will be held in USA in October this year. The team will join Rwanda, which also secured a direct ticket after Democratic Republic of Congo and Nigeria teams pulled out of the championship, which served off today at the Kasarani Indoor Arena.
The Africa Para-Volley Championship, which Kenya is hosting at the Kasarani Indo Arena, served off with an opening ceremony on Friday afternoon.
Kama serikali na wizara ya michezo, tuwafahamu ya kwamba kuna vipawa mingi kwa wenye ambao wako wazima na kuna wenye ambao wako na disability kiasi, na tuendelea kusupport
The Kenya ladies opened their campaign with a 3 straight sets loss to Rwanda before both booked their ticket to the World Cup without breaking another sweat against their opponents from DRC and Nigeria, who failed to show up for their matches. 4 men's teams are taking part in the Continental Showpiece, which is a qualifier for this year's World Cup, which will be held in October this year in the United States of America. The battle for top honors among the men's teams will continue tomorrow, with the Kenya men's team locking horns with Nigeria. Frederick Moki for Easy Friday.
And thank you, Moki, for that report. And in a bid to ramp up capacity ahead of the forthcoming African Nations Championship, CHAN, the local organizing committee has organized a workshop that has brought together various stakeholders to deliberate on the best ways of putting up a successful championship. Kenya, alongside her East African neighbors, Uganda to the west and Tanzania to the south, will host the CHAN starting on August 2nd through to the 30th. The opening ceremony is set to be held in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, while the final will be played here in Nairobi at Moi Kasarani Stadium. A total of 19 teams are set to participate in the championship, the 8th edition since its inception 16 years ago.
That will work towards a successful CHAN. They are involved in the training programs. So we have clustered our people. There are those who are mentioned, marketing, security, volunteers, and all that. So we want our people, when the competition starts, they are well equipped, they are confident that they know what they are doing. That's why we said we have a meeting with the CAF last month.
And the National Rugby 15th men's team, Kenya Simbas, held their first training session in Uganda ahead of the Rugby Africa Cup, which is set to commence on Tuesday next week. The Simbas, under the tutelage of Jerome Pawotas, will first host the neighbours Uganda in the quarterfinals. Reigning champions Zimbabwe Sables will kick off the quarterfinal proceedings against Morocco. Last year's finalists Algeria will face Ivory Coast in the second quarterfinal, while former champions Namibia will lock horns with Senegal. Now, Burkina Faso will not participate in the final stage of the tournament as they have been relegated. The Rugby Africa Cup will conclude with the final on the 19th of this month, where the winner will secure Africa's direct ticket to the 2027 Rugby World Cup. And to volleyball now, where the ground is set for the quarterfinals of the inaugural Kenya Cup volleyball tournament, which will spike off this weekend at the Nyayo National Stadium, with newly crowned National Women League champions Kenya Pipeline waiting for the opponents in the semi-final stage.
In the women's contest, newly crowned league champions Kenya Pipeline have been given a bye to the semi-finals, but KCB will have to fight for a last four slot against Postbank, while Kenya Prisons will face Kenya Army. DCI, who finished as runners-up in the just concluded National League, face KDF as they seek to cap off their remarkable season with a silverware at least. Meanwhile, in the men's quarterfinals, GSU, who are aiming to complete a season's double, will be up against KAPU, while league playoff finalists KPA will be seeking redemption in the inaugural championship against Trailblazers. Dethroned league champions Kenya Prisons will face Equity Bank, while KDF will take on AP Kenya in the Disciplined Forces Derby on Sunday. The semi-finals and finals will be held on the 12th and 13th of July, respectively. Sean Muya for Easy Friday.
And thank you, Sean Muya, for that report. Over to news making headlines across the border. So Fluminense and Al Hilal will kickstart the quarterfinals of the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup tonight at Camping World Stadium in Orlando. Fluminense pulled off a major upset in the round of 16, where they knocked out Italian giants Inter Milan 2-0 thanks to German Kano's header and Hakiel's curling shot. Saudi Arabia's Al Hilal also shocked former English Premier League champions Manchester City, whom they beat 4-3 thanks to Marcos Leonardo's brace in the 7-goal thriller. Meanwhile, Chelsea, who will face Palmeiras in Saturday's quarter-final matches, will be without their star Moises Caicedo, who is out on suspension. And finally, footballers across the world are still in shock following the untimely demise of Liverpool striker Diogo Jota, who died in a car crash on his way back to Liverpool for pre-season training. The Reds have decided to postpone the return of some of the players for pre-season training today, following the tragedy that transcends the club, according to Liverpool coach Arne Slot. And of course, on that Club World Cup, notice how we bring the cup on today's sports. But remember that all's happening here on Channel 1 beginning tomorrow. The Africa Cup of Nations Women's Edition will be kicking off tomorrow. That's 5th of July through to the 26th of this month, with a total of 25 matches being played across the 15 days. And Channel 1 will bring you the action beginning with the 11 p.m. opener between hosts Morocco against Zambia. So have a sporty and an adrenaline-filled weekend. I'm Bernardo Kumu. Thank you so much for watching. I'm wishing you a great weekend.
All right, many thanks indeed, Bernardo Kumu. KBC is your true sports partner, so you need to look out for that game opener tomorrow. And that puts a cap on Easy Friday, the first part, which is where we brief you the news that's been shaping up. Now we change the gears. That's when we're losing up just a little bit. On the other side is a DJ Cole Jacks, disco funk. You just need to stick around for that kind of music. You need to get your dancing shoes on. It's time to get funky. That's what I'm talking about. DJ Cole Jacks, good to see you, my brother. Yeah, I'm sure the lineup of the catalog of the music that you lined up is off the hook, right? Okay. All right. All right. They're all right. Kama kawa kama dawa. That's what I'm talking about. All right, Lucy Maura has been our sign language interpreter. Thanks indeed for choosing us tonight. My name is John Kago. On behalf of the team, good night. So long.
Tuzungumze kwa hekima na heshima, tutulize nafsi, tupeane busara, tuwe na mazungumzo ya kujenga, tuelewane mimi na wewe, tusipoziba ufa tutajenga ukuta.
Why are you bothered with a company that is dead?
I only do what Mr. Kaikara tells me to do.
Mnafanya nini huku?
This company runs until the judge makes the final decision about this case.
My business is growing.
Oh my God. Joel's past illegal transactions have been posted.
Oh God. Tena.
Have you seen what is on the internet?
J&J are con artists.
Look, he was actually returning some of the money.
This is a discovery. I want you to take it to the CEO, Andrea.
Okay, sir. I want to see what's inside. It doesn't concern you.
What's going on?
Tunajua Joel alikuwa achia ganji na alitaka urudishe so that he could lead an honest life.
Unaniuliza kama nani?
These charges pressed against the J&J company should be stopped immediately.
Trailhead full of zombies. I met a strange lady, she made me nervous. She took me in and gave me breakfast. And she said, do you come from a land down